Spoiler alert! What was silent then is now full of sound and fury and amazing visuals. I'm talking about Nosferatu. No, not that one. No, not that one. Stop it. I'm talking about the 2024 version and the original 1922 version. Please, let's get to the real one. Released in 1922, the original Nosferatu. It was like when cinema was just starting off, the film actually was capturing images and sound, and this could be like the first thing ever caught on camera, which was horrific and which had a horror vampire tale to it. So you can actually call it the first ever full-on horror film. It wasn't flashy, but it was terrifying in places. You know, it was a slow burn of dread with a vampire who actually didn't sparkle and was not all this crazy, but you know, it crawled in the shadows with his claws, and it was very like rustically done. Now, this was loosely based on Bram Stoker's Dracula. Without actually the copyright permission and everything, they actually made it, and it turned out to be a very, very big explosion of cinematic storytelling. It was the cinematic birth of the vampire as we know it. Now, the vampire is very like, you know, spoken about as an everyday thing that we know about vampires, and we've heard about vampires, but this is the first time somebody actually captured it and showcased it on a big screen. Now, imagine that for moviegoers. You had a very eerie score, that like expressionist German cinema vibe, which was very like, you know, singular tones, sepia, blues. It's very, very organically shot, and you know, it still made you feel something. It still gave you the chills. It still made you feel a little more uncomfortable. Cut to the 2024 version, and what Robert Eggers has done is really unbelievable. I actually watched both of them back to back, and it really made a very big difference because I was able to see how it was. It's actually not a remake. It's actually a retelling. It's actually a resurrection, if you will. Well, you know Eggers. He's the guy who gave us The Witch, The Lighthouse, The Northman, all of these like amazing films. And guess how many years he's actually been dreaming to make this film a reality? Well, in his interview, he himself said,
I've been working on this film for 10 years or more.
And that's an entire decade all rolled into 2 hours. Of course, he's been wanting to make this film since he was a kid, since he's actually seen the original. He spoke to one of his friends and he said that I want to make this Nosferatu film into a stage play. What do you think? And they actually went ahead and did it. He actually made it into a stage play when he was, you know, starting off, wanting to be a director, wanting to direct things. And when you've lived with the story and the world for that long with that much intensity, it kind of shows. You know, you can see the world and the characters are almost real. Even though it's a very different, heightened world, it feels like it could be somewhere where you could feel like it's reality. The consistency is great, very clearly visualized, very clearly lived through. And when that much of intensity comes into a story, it's really always interesting to watch. It makes you feel like you're actually watching in front of you, and that's where the film really wins. Now, he doesn't do just surface level scary stuff with like jump scares and stuff. He actually digs into the rot, which, you know, kind of like boils within your skin. Now, with Nosferatu, Eggers goes deep into medieval vampire folklore, and he's actually done a lot of research. It's one of his most favorite topics, it seems. He turns exploring the legend, the curse, the bloodline, and this time he also explores female sexuality. It's the most amazing thing because in this film, this is a different point of view. This time it's told from her eyes. Played by Lily Rose Depp, the daughter of Johnny Depp, the wife this time is no longer just a helpless victim. She's actually the soul of the entire film. She's a woman who's trapped. Much like the older 1922 version, she was the person who was going through a lot of turmoil, but this time she's actually the centerpiece from whose lens we actually see the entire story unfold. Now, between the warm light of her human love, very well played by Nicholas Hoult, and the hypnotic pull of this immortal being who doesn't want her blood, he actually wants her soul and to actually mate with her on a deeper level. It's very, very intense and it's amazingly done. And you can see the makeup, the design, the way the character is looking, you know, that's Bill Skarsgård. Actually, he's unrecognizable, terrifying, and beneath that crazy demonic form, you can actually feel that the depth and the pain that the vampire is feeling, which in the first film was all about like, you know, the scare of it or the eeriness of it. Of course, back in the day, they did not have so many tools, so much visual effects, so much makeup and all of these crazy things. But now that updated version actually has a lot of all of that. It's actually gone deeper within the story, deeper within the folklore, all of it coming together into one amazing watch. Now, in the 1922 version, Nosferatu tiptoes towards the bed. You must have seen that scene. It's a scene that's very creepy, but it's also very, very subtle. But in 2024, of course, there's a full-blown love-making scene. And that is where I really loved where this film went. Yes, it actually went all the way. It shows the obsession actually get physical, and it also makes you uncomfortable, but also it's not just about the titillation or the submission. It's actually about the tension and the blood-sucking discomfort that all of us feel while watching this film. The wife actually surrenders, and that's why this film really takes it to another level. And in 100 years, it's grown beyond to become its own unique story, its own iconic beast. Now, if you look at the film's visual tone, it's steeped in the same yellows and blues. It's a very clever homage to the original 1920s style because they didn't have any other way to show day and night. They actually used those colors in the film reel to separate the day and night, to show this is day, which is all sepia, and this is night, which is all blue. Now, Eggers brings back that same form, that same color tone, but with modern richness and with a lot of intent in the DI and the color correction of it. The beats of the story remain the same as the 1922 version, but Eggers builds an entire universe. A Gothic town that is swallowed by its own darkness. There's a lot of crazy things going on. There are characters that are fighting external evil, but they're also fighting the inner demons. It's like an inward story where you actually connect more with the characters. We even meet a new character, which is played by Emma Corrin, and it's a calm, grounded woman who, in contrast to Lily's intensity, is really representing logic, restraint, and a mirror to the chaotic surrender of our main heroine. Now, this is not Dracula. It's not the traditional iconic vampire films. It's not Twilight. It's a very different, gritty film. This is cinema with teeth, and it's a horror film. Now, I'm a horror junkie. I love horror films, but this is a very iconic, not only horror film, it was a folklore love story. It's a romantic obsession tale, and that's what I really loved about it. It's hands down my favorite movie of 2024. It's a rare film that balances fear with longing. It's really intense. It's as much as it is about the eternal damnation and the surrender and the sacrifice that I don't want to spoil it for you, actually. So if you're into Gothic horror, folklore, characters consumed by desire, films that actually feel very, very haunted, but also feels like poetry and, cinema coming alive in every form, in visuals, in audio, in dialogue, in storytelling, in all of it, then you must definitely watch this film, because this film is for you. Share this with a movie buff. Follow for more StoryVerse. And if you love to time travel through cinema, then do watch some of our other videos. I, of course, will see you in the next one.